So welcome back to the Comic Zone. Special episode today. Just got this in the mail today. No, yesterday. So you might be asking yourself a question. The first question is probably, Charles, what's in the envelope? I can answer that. We got some great stuff in here. So, couple of things we're doing today. So today's episode is going to cover, number one, some trades I just did with a couple of incredible creators, Jon Claytor Anne Pasek. My apologies if I say anyone's name wrong in the entire thing. This is live, folks. So yeah. So we've got these two trades that I did. I was able to do some zine trades through the mail from these two amazing people. And after we cover these two here, we're going to talk about this stack of stuff. This is from Broken Pencil Magazine's Spring Canzine, which I was an exhibitor at. It was an online zine fest happening in April or May of this year. And it was actually happening the same weekend that I was at the Art Gallery of Alberta doing a live comic and zine market. So that was cool to have two things happening at the same time. So I got a stack of zines and things and a little, ooh, I'll just flash that for a second. This is a little bonus that they sent me. So we'll talk about this stuff in a moment. But first, yeah, this Stop Cop City, man, we're going to talk about this in a minute. First, we're going to talk about these two trades that I did. We're going to start with Jon Claytor. So when I traded for this with Jon, I let him know, like, hey, I'm going to be showing this soon when I get my Canzine stuff. So I got my Canzine stuff in the mail. It's time to finally talk about this. I've been keeping this under my hat for several weeks, and it's been driving me crazy because I want to talk about this so much. So this here is a teaser mini comic from Jon Claytor about his upcoming graphic novel called Nowhere. It's a little bit of sci-fi, it's a little bit of David Lynch, it's a little bit of aliens, it's a little bit of supernatural and ghosts and everything else. But I'll let Jon do the talking here. As well as he sent me a couple of beautiful postcards, because one of them says, hey, Charles, looking forward to reading your zines, because we did a zine trade. If anybody ever wants to do zine trades with me, reach out. I'm always willing to do that. That's what we did here. Trading some good old analog addresses and trading stuff. So this is a teaser for Nowhere. Now, I have to get my best trailer voice on. I'm not sure it's going to happen tonight. We'll see. Welcome to Nowhere. A world where monsters are as real as your emotions. There is no escape. And the only hope is to ignore the truth. Welcome to the town of Beaujour. There are evil stepfathers. It's just school, not World War III. Yes, it is. And now there are clowns. Clowns? Ugh. I hope I can find a therapist that isn't afraid of clowns in this sad sack town. Evil landlords, demon bartenders, giant rats, swamp creatures in love, ghosts, and zombies. Shit, I'm late again. Mysteries. Best friends. So when did Buffy the Vampire Slayer become a documentary? Right? This could be a show. Aliens. I know I'm statistically probable, but I just don't feel real. Good mothers. Vampires can't come in unless you invite them. Vampires. You can try to escape. Run! But the cube sees everything. Look out for Nowhere, a graphic novel by Jon Claytor. Isn't that awesome? Isn't that fucking rad? Sorry, YouTube. It's so easy to read it like it's a movie trailer, because this is a movie trailer. He's got it perfectly set up. Like, you can just picture the narration happening and that over the clips. Oh my god. I cannot wait. Jon Claytor, if you watch this, I cannot wait to read this thing. I hope there's an opportunity at some point that will be in the same place at the same time, showing at some sort of comic or zine market. Who knows? Maybe we'll both make it out to TCAF at some point or something like that in Toronto. Jon Claytor is based in the Maritimes of Canada, and I'm out here in the West in Calgary, out in Cowtown. So hopefully we will be able to meet at some point and do more stuff like this. Oh my god, that's so good. I can't wait to read it. So Jon, excellent job. I loved it. I needed to show this off, and it's been driving me crazy to wait till now. So that is the teaser for Nowhere from Jon Claytor. I was just happy and fortunate enough that I saw he had an Instagram post that said, hey, today only, message me and I'm sending out free teasers for my upcoming graphic novel. And I jumped right onto that. And I was able to send him some of my stuff in return to thank him for it. Great. We're going to move on to the next one here. This is another trade I did with Anne Pasek. Anne Pasek? I'm going to keep saying it. And if you watch this, I'm going to just say it every way I can, and hopefully one of them is correct. To anybody who watches these, I try. I try very hard. But Anne Pasek, or Anne Pasek, or Anne Pasek? I'm not sure. But Anne is a professor at Trent University, I believe, dealing with a lot of things about climate and in like science and climate. Very smart individual. Used to be out here in Alberta. So this is from their time in Edmonton, which is a big oil town. I love this one. This one really scratched my brain quite a bit because it's got great black and white illustrations, really nice textured paper, and this, when you look at my ghost town zines, like this gives me a good feeling. Like, you know, I love black and white illustrations like this, and of structures. So this one called Everyday Oil. What it is it shows the energy infrastructure in places that have yet to become strange. So out here in Alberta, especially in Edmonton, Alberta, which is a northern oil town, it's the capital of Alberta, but you can turn a corner from a residential area and find yourself facing an oil derrick that is 80 feet in diameter. And that's not a strange sight there, to see these industrial oil and gas infrastructure just in every sort of place that you look. So this does a great thing where Anne has made these illustrations showing these things that to people from other places and people in the future, even here, will probably find strange. But right now, it's the everyday. Let's go all the way through this. So about this project, I grew up in Edmonton and lived the first 26 years of my life here. Then, like so many young people working in the arts, I moved east and south in pursuit of more cosmopolitan opportunities. Distance made me equal parts critical and nostalgic about my hometown. I miss the light, the winter, and the people that animate this city. And yet, so much of its defining features seem strange from afar, especially those with ties to the oil and gas sector. Edmonton is the industrial and policy base for much of the oil sands development in the north of the province, spectacularized through the tar sands campaign, and now the subject of bitter political and cultural divides within the province. I recently returned here, in large part to study these conflicts and the rhetorical lines that hold Alberta's relations to oil tenuously in place. And yet, I found that oil surfaced in so many parts of my everyday life in Edmonton, forming an under-acknowledged foundation to the institutions and imagination that I inhabited this city for so long, that I inhabited in this city for so long, and which I still find today. This little book is an attempt to observe some of these moments in everyday oil as both an insider and outsider to this place. It is intended, as Kathleen Stewart writes, as an experiment more than a judgment. Drawing from experience, photos, and memory has let me linger longer in the everyday, in the ordinary, and the stories and spaces that compose a city and the lives lived therein. It is a partial mode and fragmented at that, but perhaps such is the experience of experience. I share this with you in the hopes that you might also sense oil in your everyday, here in Edmonton or in all the other places in the world that have, to varying degrees, oil in their foundations. And that's signed May 15th, 2020. First, let's take a look at the cover, which does sort of like a panoramic of the showing the juxtaposition of downtown Edmonton and oil structures. This is a view of the Edmonton downtown and petroleum processing skylines from the Strathcona Science Provincial Park. And you'll find that all the way through this. So I'm going to bring this one in a bit closer. So I'm not going to read every single one of these. It's too hot for that today. It's too hot for that. But let's take a look at each of these. I'll explain just a little bit of each one. So this is Jasper Avenue, which is the main downtown main drag. It's basically, as Anne points out, it's practically a highway. It is 6 lanes of traffic in most places, if not all, of Jasper Avenue as it goes through downtown Edmonton. It's the most density you'll find. And here's the Mackenzie River pipeline. This pipe, says here, cuts across the canopy of the ravine, which is the river ravine, or the Mackenzie ravine. And it's a suspended pipeline with its structure to keep it intact. Very strange. Just see it built above you as you go through the ravine. The next one, Enbridge Place. So Anne drew this actually in 2020 when there was a set of protests throughout Canada's, particularly in BC, by the Wet'suwet'en First Nation. I believe it was would be referred to as the ancestral chiefs, I think is what they would be called, or the ancestral chiefs. So not the band council, but the ancestral chiefs were against an oil and gas pipeline to be running through their territory without proper counsel from them, without proper due diligence done, and unknown risks. And so there was a solidarity protest in Enbridge Place when Anne drew this. So this is Enbridge is a large oil and gas company here in Alberta. So this was a protest done in the, I believe the lobby of their building. Here's a set of pipeline pathways. So a trail, I'll mention a little bit. This trail divides a neighborhood and an industrial park. And it's flat and straight because it has pipelines running beneath it. So this pipeline infrastructure then has pathways, community sort of pathways that sort of split the city, split this area at least, into these industrial buildings and this residential neighborhood. The Derrick Club is a club, mostly it's rich oil executives and their families. Anne mentions here that they had a rich school friend who was their ticket into this private club, founded in the 1950s. So it is a recreational club. It's a sort of country club, recreation club, where you can go swim. And says they swim, play in the arcade, eating French fries, charged to the family account of this rich oil executive's family. Here's Petroleum Plaza. It says here, I noticed the name of the building only after I arrive at the credit union branch. So there's an interesting story in here about how Anne was hoping to move their accounts to this credit union, to this Alberta-based its service credit union, to try to move their money to an institution that was more divested from the oil sands and the oil patch, only to be told by the credit union, well, we actually do have a pretty heavy investment in the oil patch as well. But they did have one ethical fund, but the manager was only in once a week. If you look in the background here, that is the legislature. That's the seat of our provincial government at the end of the street. And anyone who has been to Alberta or knows Alberta knows that the seat of the legislature and heavy petroleum influence are always just a stone's throw away. And this is the point of where we were building. This Trans Mountain pipeline has just opened up in Canada. It's our pipeline from Alberta to get to Tidewater in British Columbia, to expand our ability to export bitumen. At this point, it was still being built. And I think it was a bit of a boondoggle. Cost a lot of money. We may see some prosperity from it. We'll see what the costs are, both in capital and environment and health and well-being as time goes on. Who knows? Yeah, so this is an amazing, very amazing one. I like this one a lot. I was so happy. I had actually, I had read this as its digital edition, which you can find on Anne's website, which is right over there. And I reached out to Anne to say, hey, I think this is a very important zine and you've done this incredible job with it. And luckily they reached out and said, hey, I've got a couple of printed copies. I can send some to you. And I said, great, but only if I'm allowed to send you my stuff back. So we did a really nice trade on that as well. So that's the two really like landmark trades I did in the last month or two here. But now we're going to move on to the Spring Canzine pickups that I got from Broken Pencil's 2024 Spring Canzine online. We're going to talk a little bit about Broken Pencil to start with. And then we'll start delving into the actual books that I picked up. So, Broken Pencil. I've talked about them several times on this program. I was nominated for a Broken Pencil Zine Award for 2023 with one of my Ghost Town zines. Still very happy to have had that honor and be in with some really amazing people. By the way, Jon Claytor was also shortlisted for his in the same category as me in the info zine. He did one was about the opioid epidemic in his small town. Really amazing piece. So Broken Pencil has been doing reviews and writing about the culture of zines for almost 30 years. This is issue 102. We've taken a look at the last few issues since issue 99 or 100, I believe. We were looking at some of them. This is a pretty amazing one as well. Talking about 50 people being indicted under the RICO Act for zines because they had spoken out about this thing that was a training facility for police called Cop City. And as usual, they have also a great selection of articles, art, literature reviews, zine reviews, music reviews. They do a bit of everything. It's great stuff. Broken Pencil is doing the good work. It's very nice. So, Spring Canzine is a online based zine fair that they do. They do in-person ones as well, but the spring one is online. I was very happy to take part in it and have some of my work available there. And this is the stuff that I picked up. I'll tell you, I had to not pick up due to there's only so much money to go around. I had to make some very hard choices on what to get. I have an entire spreadsheet that is the other pieces that I have to try to pick up at a later date. But let's start delving through these here. The very first one here, this is called The Adventure of Galaxy Girl, and it is by Scarlett Knife. Beautiful cover, beautiful artwork throughout. And it's a beautiful, I don't know if it shows at all, but it's this beautiful glossy cover. Nice tactile thing. So The Adventure of Galaxy Girl takes basically prompts, almost like a Inktober prompt system of all of these zodiac and astrological signs, and makes almost a bit of a narrative out of it, of Galaxy Girl here chasing the stars and going into the cosmos, and with just these beautiful illustrations. It's almost dance-like how they have Galaxy Girl interacting with the cosmos. And the splendor of, you got the twins here. Back here. I'll see if I can recognize which ones are which. It's very hard. I think that might be, is that Aries? No, I'm not sure. I think this one is Aries. No, this is Taurus. Or is that Aries? That might be, oh, that's Aries. No, wait. I don't know. Leo's in here. Recognize some of these. My constellation identification is leaves a little to be a little bit to be desired. Here's the Scorpion one. But yeah, just watching Galaxy Girl adventure through the cosmos. Here's Leo. And following this this lion further along. Oh, really great work. Consistently very dynamic poses, very dynamic setups, and always having this beautiful star field. Very nice work. I thought this would be a great one to show Michelle as well, because she's a big fan of astrological stuff. I love this where it's almost an Alice in Wonderland sort of thing, where she's barely fitting into the frame and she's actually holding the top of the page. It reminds me of Alice in Wonderland when she swells up to the size of a room after eating the cake. Capricorn there, I believe. I might be Sagittarius. Let's see. I'll have to see if Michelle can pick these out. I love this one where it uses like it's a negative, you know, the positive space around it and the negative space. Yeah, the way the negative space is used around this, as if it's almost a tear. Really nice work. Yeah, it's a great one. I don't normally go as much for ones like this. I usually go for ones that maybe have more story to them, but there's a story that's being told through this. And the artwork, I couldn't deny it. The artwork was very mind-blowing. The next one we're going to talk about is from Tenzin Tsering. And I hope I'm saying that correctly. This is a great little zine called Afraid of the Dark. It's number 1661. It's got some nice little, I love the packaging here. They got some little loose stars in the packaging that you can move around. Let's see if we can do this without spilling the stars. There we are. This is a great one. The way that this one is printed and bound together is really impressive. Really very impressive. It's nice to have this little thank you note in it. So it's about two siblings here, and the older sibling is telling the younger one about why they're afraid of the dark. And they say, the older brother asks the younger one, "Why are you afraid of the dark?" "I'm not afraid of the dark," explained his little sister. "I'm afraid of what's inside the dark." Something that they do great in this one, Tenzin does, is using, once again, that positive and negative space. And really doing a great job of sending your eye around and having these things come out. Some of this artwork reminds me of the work that we saw from Hawksley, at Hawksley. This great, like, almost demon werewolves and monsters. "So look over there," she exclaimed. "There's a giant hiding in the woods, and mysterious eyes in the bushes. Man-eating bats and snakes, werewolves and monsters, and trouble-making trolls." "It might seem scary right now," said the older brother, "but take a closer look." He pointed his flashlight towards the trees. "That's not a giant," he explained. "That's a giant tree. The eyes in the bushes are just little bunnies trying to fall asleep. The bats and snakes live in the forest. They won't eat you. This is their home. And the werewolves, monsters, and trolls are actually friendly. But only if you believe they are." I love this where it's actually, oh yeah, the trolls and werewolves, they're there, but they're nice. Come explore the dark woods, but don't be afraid. It's very whimsical. It's a very cute story, and I love the way it kind of wraps up with, oh yeah, don't worry about the monsters and the trolls and the werewolves. They're actually, that's Frank, and then they're nice. That's Susan over there. Very nice. Yeah, beautiful piece. And you can see it's a very thick. So it's a very thick paper that is folded in such a way. The binding of it is just amazing. I love how they did it. They must have, so it's doubled over on itself, printed all on one side, and then folded and scored and folded on itself and glued, I believe. And it's this beautiful, very nice paper. I'm a stickler for really nice binding and really nice printing. The next one we're going to go through here is from Kel. This one's pretty neat. It is called Slow Work as Practice. So this introduces one thing I was picking up quite a bit with Canzine is I was picking up a lot of these ones that talk about things like culture and labor. I wanted to get a few things that talked about that. This one here, slow work. The idea of slow work as resistance, slow work as healing, as mindfulness, as decolonization, as meditation, rebellion, cultivation, connection, anti-capitalism, embodiment, and self-care. I thought was really quite neat. It's neat that it introduces this idea of slow work, which I'm not really aware of. You know, it wasn't something that was really something I understand. So to have this idea of, you know, I like to learn something. As somebody who does historical comics and zines, I like the idea of learning something from it. So this idea of slow work as being more than just work done slowly. It's about being intentional, focusing on work that matters and removing efficiency as the goal. As you know, efficiency is like that main goal of capitalism. It's all about efficiency. And unfortunately, sometimes people lose out. So this kind of takes that back. In capitalism, oh, here we go. In capitalism, efficiency is the primary goal of all work. Tasks need to be done with efficiency in order to be profitable. Slow work takes a different approach. It places well-being and connection at the root of the action and rejects the notion that work must be efficient to be effective. And look at these illustrations. Oh my gosh. Looks like it's maybe done with a ballpoint pen or something similar. Maybe not ballpoint pen, but yeah, it's done with pen. I looked at it. I love the way the sort of texturized strokes. You get that sort of flared look. It's really cool. Examples of slow work include sweeping instead of vacuuming, growing your own food in a garden, walking instead of driving, mending clothes. In a larger community scale, slow work can look like building homes with natural materials, having a community potluck, hosting a clothing swap. The amount of labor required to accomplish the end goal is higher, but there are other benefits packed into the activities like community connection, individual well-being, and environmental considerations. And why is slow work important? Slow work asks the question, why efficiency? Efficiency tries to make money so we can outsource our basic needs. Efficiency tries to free up time so that we can finally relax when the work is done. If we reject efficiency as the goal, we can embrace the act of fulfilling our own basic needs in a way that prioritizes our own individual and communal well-being, so that we don't feel that the need for time away from the work. So kind of making that idea, something they used to say, I think it was back in I don't even know when, I'm not sure which decade it started in, but that the act of work being its, hard work or the outcome of hard work being its own reward. That idea of loving what you do and doing it with intention is something we kind of lose today. Although I think I find that in the art space, it's often where we kind of get that idea back of slow work, where the thing that you produce being a reward that goes beyond the efficiency or even the sale or proliferation of your work into other spaces. We make these things, zine creators, we make these things with intention. So I think slow work is something I think is wrapped up in zine making. And so I think this is great. Yeah, subsomatic.com. So Kel is a big proponent of this idea of slow work. Also, I believe on their website, they had a lot of stuff on there about very much like practicing what they preach, talking about growing your own food, doing things with intention, self-care. So worth checking that out. Absolutely. Subsomatic.com. It's very cool. Okay, the next one here, created by 3 different creators. It's called Download This Zine. Now this is the winner this year of the Broken Pencil Zine of the Year. They didn't just win for their category, they won the whole kit and caboodle. As long as I'm remembering that correctly. I believe so. Yeah, they won the... So I needed to get my hands on this. I didn't manage to get my hands on it until now, so I was very happy to get it. It's called Download This Zine. It talks about early internet culture and living within that. It's by Lucky Acid, Ryam, Niaimi, and Sammy Orlowski. So you can follow, as usual, you can follow everybody if you like this stuff. Over to your right. So download this zine. Here we are. The circle of life, going from being bullied to the bully once you are old enough to use the internet. The sad forever cycle. So this is great. With 3 creators, you're getting a large variance in material here, and talking about their reminiscing about the early days of them being in the internet. So they talked here about this Gaia Online, which I was never aware of, this particular one. So this talks a lot about the act of being bullied online and the dangers, basically, like all the things you're warned about back in the 90s when the internet was first sort of proliferating, first kind of being a thing. It was the Wild West. It was quite the time to be alive, I'll tell you that. It took, it took you over an hour to download a 1 megabyte file, but you did it because there was nothing else like it. And there were definitely dangers. Here's one about, would you like to download a low-res Dragon Ball Z or Linkin Park video and absolutely destroy your family PC? Here's them enjoying music from Inuyasha, which is an anime or manga, I think. Not so out of touch. Oh yeah. Here they taught, it really was the Wild West. So one of the authors of this saw a person die on an internet video for the first time. And there was that stuff. Like there was straight up like Faces of Death style. If you're a bit older like myself, you'll remember VHS tapes like Faces of Death. That was a video series all about people captured on film dying. So I was exposed to death on video before the internet. That's how old I am. I remember stumbling across a video being screened on a network television sort of test channel. We had one of those great big satellite dishes when I was a kid. And on one of those satellites, there was one where I could just kind of like stumble in there and see what the editors were screening or work, it would, and I believe I saw, that's the first time I saw somebody die on television. Yeah, weird stuff. So yeah, that brings back these weird memories for me as well. If you'd like to try the MSN Nudge Simulator, you hold this page at your arm's length, both hands, move your hands up and down really fast, going, ow, 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 and repeat until you feel something. Yeah, so I feel like the authors of this are just a touch younger than me. So I was a little bit past a few of these things. Probably already in college when they were dealing with some of these things. Porn and violence on the internet was all the rage. It still is, but maybe a little less so. It's a little less laissez-faire than it used to be. or maybe you just have to know where to go now. Where before, when I was coming up, when the internet was first becoming a thing in the mid 90s, early to mid 90s, it was you could stumble across the worst stuff. So yeah, I'm not going to read this here. This is all about a lot of awful stuff, awful things about the internet and its terrible things that it does to people. It makes you feel. So, another great day on the web. Death, destruction, self-loathing, bullying, harassment. It's not that different today, is it? It's not that different today. So, this is an incredible zine. They lay bare a lot of their early experiences with the internet when it really was the Wild West. A quick note about the contact information I put over here. If you see an @ sign, and even if it doesn't say let's say Instagram on it, the ones with the @ symbols, they are all Instagram handles. That tends to be what I show here, unless there is not an Instagram way to see, just because that's a way where you can usually visually see more of these people's art, follow their stuff more, maybe even reach out and say how much you like it. I always encourage you, if you like this stuff, check out more of it. This is a really interesting piece from Rabia Syed, Where I Am, Where I Am Not. So, where they are, spoiler, this is a highway in Ontario heading to Toronto, I believe. And where I am not is back in their home country, where their family is from. So this is about the journey that Rabia took, being, family from another place, and then settling in Canada. So at one point they plan to move to Karachi. Beautiful paper on this, beautiful printing. And I love that everything's like just out of focus enough that you really need to focus on everything. So my mom and her sisters would write back and forth after my mom moved to Canada. And as you can see, it is not in English, so they could not read it. I always think it's sad when the language doesn't survive when a family comes over. My family, when they came from Eastern Europe, spoke German, which was not something that people wanted to admit to too much in the early 1900s. So unfortunately, that part of our language died. So I feel a little bit of that. And then we start talking about Rabia's experiences in Toronto. Now, I think Canada has a strange and it's not always an earned reputation as being kind people who are very open and very accepting of other people. There we've got a lot of racism, we have a lot of sexism, we have a lot of anti-everybody sentiment. And sometimes these examples that Rabia gives are really shocking because they are people saying these things out of the blue to a young person. So someone following Rabia for 6 blocks and finally catching up with them just to ask, would your dad honor kill you if you don't wear your hijab? Like, just wild stuff. We're not going to read through all of these. Some of them may be, kind of triggering to people. So I apologize if that's the case. But, oh my God. It's like this one here. They're at their job at the grocery store. Ask the customer if they would like a bag when being cashed out. And the customer says back to them, "Oh, I support bombing Iraq because of terrorists." To say to a young Muslim, and that I've seen that in Canada, and it's shocking. So this is a really raw, emotional piece. Rabia's other work really has this feeling as well. It's good stuff. I wish I could have picked up more than just this one. Hopefully in future I can pick up even more. It's a pretty amazing piece. Our next one is from Kento. So Kento also goes by the name Batcities. It's called Off the Clock. Illustrated interviews on life and labor. Once again, I was looking for a lot of stuff that had to do with people's experiences, their culture, and labor stuff. I was kind of looking for that was the itch I was trying to scratch at the time. So this is called Off the Clock. Really nicely bound with thread. I love when people do that. I wish I was steadier of hand. I'd like to do some more binding with sewing and thread. I also wanted to show this business card for Bat Cities for Kento that I thought was just the most adorable thing. Let's see if I can't get the camera to focus on it, but it's like a little Game Boy. Oh my gosh, it's so cute. Yeah, Bat Cities. Really beautiful. Sometimes people just, business cards are easy to sort of skip over. And every once in a while, one of them really grabs your attention. So they did a series of interviews about people's life and their experiences with labor. So they have a contractor, a charge nurse, a general assembly worker, and a poultry tech. And they're done in this amazing illustrated style. So this is Shane, the contractor. And I won't read through all these. I'll just read maybe one of these and then we'll flip through the rest. So let's read Shane, the general contractor. I've always drifted. I've done a lot. I've been a bartender, an animator, a personal support worker, and now I'm a contractor. It's gratifying to see how you're making a house a home. It's funny, when I was renovating your place, I was redoing the ducts and it led me to the attic. In there, I found ... lost socks from 50 plus years of tenants living here. Work socks, lacy socks, bobby socks, baby socks. I've done something tangible to improve someone's life. I see marks of my work all over the city and I'm proud. Yeah, really just beautifully, some of these collage sort of pieces and then the illustrations to go with it as these people talk about their life and their work. Because especially I find more so in Canada than anywhere else, we tie ourselves to our job. I say North America in general. I'd say the United States and Canada, more than anywhere else in the world, almost the first thing you'll hear from somebody when you meet them for the first time, they'll say, "Oh, so what do you do?" Because we tie our labor, what we do for a living or try to do for a living, as such a part of our identity. And I find that more than anywhere else in the world. Like when I've traveled in Europe and other places or South America, it's kind of gauche to ask people what their job is. You're usually talking about other things. I'm sure it happens, and I'm sure I'm getting it completely wrong. But for me, it's always seemed, and I've heard people say, like, "Boy, you Canadians and you Americans, you sure do mainly talk about your work, and your work is such an intrinsic part of you, even more so than a lot of like the things you actually do, which are the things you do for fun or enjoy or your passions." We wrap so much of ourselves up in that. So yeah, look at these, just really, really great. Look at this The boss yelling at them to get back to work. Under the boots of their... Oh my gosh. Really good stuff. You know, talking a lot about labor rights, morale being low, and hiring desperate people who didn't know their rights and were trod upon. And then here we talk about the idea of labor and its effects on things like other living beings. As a poultry tech, doing experimentation on animals. Yeah, awesome piece, man. It's so good. I love this illustration on the front. All the illustrations throughout. Can't wait to read all of those. Let's move on to the next one. We got about 5 more, and then we've got a special bonus that I was sent with this, and we'll take a quick look at that as well because it's a really cool piece. The next one, very nice one, from Sofia. It's called Flowers. It's beautifully printed, beautifully illustrated. Sometimes I love these little stories, these little almost surreal stories that people will tell. We'll read all the way through this one. I'm going to see if I can bring it up to the camera here. Lying dormant and still until things begin to thaw. So you see it. This is all about the transformation that's happening here. So things begin to thaw and slowly start coming back to life. The circle of life. Well, you know what they say. April showers bring May flowers. I love it. I love these. I love short little ones like this. It talks, you know, it's got this frozen form of a human thawing, bringing life, enjoying the sunshine, and then sometimes it feels like you always have somebody coming to go all over it. Our next one here is from Charlotte Fleming. This is a great, tiny little piece. I love when people make these tiny little zines, these little, would you call it a chapbook? I'm not even sure. But these tiny little ones are always super cute. A nice little card for Charlotte there. And this one, it was too irresistible for me to not get it. It has this beautiful red thread holding it together, but also in that is my tiny little magnifying glass to go and collect bugs. It's called Bug Collector. So you, as you're going through it, there's no lens in it, but you get to, you get to become a kid again and be out there looking at the bugs. Got a little woolly bully. It's cute to feel like you're just out exploring again. I don't know if you're like me when you were a kid. I would go out and capture bugs, do all that stuff. Looking at ants, the early bird, little beetle. I don't know. It's just, there's something so adorable about how this was put together, and the little magnifying glass, and just how pretty it's like you just come across a small clearing in the brush, in the underbrush. There's a garden slug. Oh, it's just so cute. Great little piece. And irresistible. There was no way I could say no to this one. This next one is actually another Broken Pencil Zine Award 2023 nominee. I can't remember if it won or not. I'm sorry, I don't remember. This is by Michael FAUXBEAR. This is a really cool one. I'm sorry, Mike, I don't remember whether or not you actually won the category for this one. This one's really neat. So it is FAUXBEAR's experience with a AI AI spam bot, basically, that called itself Lucas John. This is number 22 of 50, which is very nice. Beautifully printed. Looks like it's a risograph printing. The thing about risograph that I love is you get these really beautiful colors, and the way that the colors interact is very powerful. I need to do some risograph stuff because you get this beautiful spot color. So these are, you'll often find, especially as if you're an artist online posting anything on social media, you will sometimes get a lot of spam. So you get these, you'll get DMs on Instagram, especially, like for me, where people say, this is an interaction. Oh, that was my cat sneezing. I don't know if you heard that. An interaction they had with an AI bot or spammer or something that called itself Lucas John. I so much love the art pictures. I hope you don't mind if I pay you from my Business account. And these things are always a scam. I stopped using paying apps long time ago because of the bad experiences I've had. I was thinking about using this picture from your profile for an art piece, if that is fine by you. So this is the various crappy interactions you have with these weird spam accounts, especially on social media. Still connected? Can you work on this? I got some weird ones, especially when I first started posting my stuff on social media. I started getting people like, "Oh, I'd really like you to do this commission. But how about, like, I had this one. It was like, oh, I'd love to pay you. Can I pay you $1,500 for a commission?" And I was like, "Yeah, you can, but you don't exist. You're not a real person." And sure enough, I don't know what the scam was going to be, but it never happened. So that's Lucas John. This was a nominee for the Broken Pencil Zine Awards for 2023. Great piece. The interactions you have with these bullshit accounts on social media are very funny, and FAUXBEAR's illustrations are just wild. I'm so glad I finally got my hands on this. I wasn't able to buy it earlier. This is one I really want to get my hands on. And yeah, awesome creator. Okay, we've got two more. We have two more. We're going to move on to this one. This is another Broken Pencil Zine Award, not just nominee. This one won in their category for political zine. This was one I really want to get my hands on. Now, number one, the artwork is incredible on this, but it deals in the subject matter is about the Armenian genocide. Now, my last name is, I'm told, is Armenian with a Polish ending. So I know at some point in my family's past, and I don't know how far back, we don't know how far back, we would have come from the Caucasus, from Armenia at some point, I believe. So this is yeah, as I really wanted to learn more, the idea of the Armenian genocide and a lot of people's sort of denial of the Armenian genocide is a very strange thing I still don't have my head wrapped around. So this was I thought this was a very important one for me to look at. So Alley Cat created this one. They create their stuff under the name Entangled Roots Press. And this one's called Operation Nemesis. So what happens in this is it goes, once again, this scratches my brain, right? Because this talks about a historical subject. It does it in a way that, boy, I looked at and was going, boy, a lot of the stuff we do with Genki feels like this, where we're telling a story. That comic I just did for the music comic anthology, sorry to bring it to myself on this one, but the Joe Hill one, I felt like, yeah, I'd love to meet Alley Cat at some point and pick their brain about how they created this and their process, because I dig it. Giving the history, giving you some backstory on what is Armenia. It's a landlocked country out in the highlands of Western Asia, surrounded by the Ararat Mountains and part of the Caucasus. So this talks about the history that's happened in in Armenia and the genocide that took place in the late 1800s. 100 to 300,000 Armenians murdered in what is known as the Hamidian massacres. The Hamidian massacres. I'm probably still saying that wrong. The Hamidian massacres. And there's a great amount of history in this. We're not going to read through all of this. It's so dense. It would take us a while to get through. I can't wait to really sit down and really give 100% of my brain power to this. So it talks about many genocides that have been put over the Armenian people. Again, in 1915, the Ottoman Empire rounding up and arresting hundreds of Armenians from a list compiled with the help of the traitor Haruchian Murchichian. There's a blacklist including intellectuals, political activists, and community leaders in Constantinople. Yeah, wild stuff. So Operation Nemesis is a further to this. So Operation Nemesis, what it was is, if you've ever watched the movie Munich, it's got a similar feel. It's a weird thing to compare these two things, but in Munich there was an assassin sent to go after basically Nazis on the run. Operation Nemesis feels like something sort of similar. It was people trying to, I believe, kind of get justice for this Armenian genocide. And when I talk about justice, I'm talking about vigilante-style justice. We're talking about hunting those who are responsible by way of assassination. So I had never heard of Operation Nemesis. I've known generally about the Armenian genocide and how there are still tensions in the region. I mean, there was just another flare-up of conflict between Azerbaijan and Armenia, in which Azerbaijan annexed a portion of Armenia, as tends to often happen, unfortunately. That was just a few years ago. Within the last decade, I believe, there was another flare-up. I mean, it's one of those things where it's one of those forever conflicts, it seems. But I had never heard of Operation Nemesis, which was trying to assassinate and hunt down those who were responsible for this genocide. The illustrations, I would love to do more of. I tend to overdo some of my drawings. What Ellie is doing here in their illustrations, if I do more stuff around people, I'd like to I'm hoping for my style to try and rein it back into something that I used to do more this style of drawing. And I feel like I overcomplicate things now. So seeing this is a really great inspiration for me. There was a book I had from Gord that he accidentally forgot at my house when he was staying here in the past year. And the illustrations in this remind me of that. And it was when I was doing my Joe Hill comic, it was an inspiration to me. And now I see this and I go, oh yeah, and here's another person doing, it's very simplified, but also quite realistic. With nice texture when it needs to be there, but also being very restrained. So yeah, I need to keep practicing, So that's Alley Cat Leeds. They live in Portland, I believe. Yes. Living on unceded Cowlitz, Multnomah, and Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde Land at the confluence of two rivers, also known as Portland, Oregon. Yeah, awesome piece. Well-deserved winner of Broken Pencil Zine Award 2023 for Best Political Zine. It's pretty amazing. I have one more to show you. This one is digital. This is from a creator known as Visal. Once again, I'm probably saying that name incorrectly, but we try our best. It's called The Roses of Doña Mercedes. Visal is I believe, a Spanish-speaking creator. I do believe. And this is great. So when I showed a couple of weeks ago, there was a piece that talked about, it was done by, oh boy, it's escaping me now. It was the one called Scissors. That was a sort of old Mexican tradition of putting scissors under the mattress of a sleeping child to protect them from witches. This Roses of Doña Mercedes reminds me of that. It's about sort of Latin American, Central and South American superstition and a horror story. So let's take a look at this here. Let's see if I can get this. Can I get this into a full screen? Is there a way to do that? I don't remember how to do that. Let's go through this. So this is a horror story. Let's see if I can get that nicely, a little bit nicer. It's a little bit cut off there. That's okay though. And this is basically a ghost story, a horror story about child going to their grandmother's house for the summer and believing that their grandma is secretly a witch. Maybe let's just read through this one. Let's read right through it. Mom, why couldn't Grandma go to our house this year? She's getting old. It's not so easy for her. Well, here we are. Mom, is Grandma secretly a witch? What? Why do you say that? That totally looks like a witch's house. I am a witch. I'm going to eat you up. Oh, I'm just kidding, dear. Grandma, stop. You know who is a witch, though? Who? Doña Mercedes, down the road. Only magic could be keeping her looking so well at her age. We'll jump a bit ahead here, rather than read the entire thing. So she hears that Doña Mercedes, living down the street, is the real witch because she looks so good in her old age. And the child uses a shortcut to get down to the corner store to get their soda, and happens across the rose garden of Doña Mercedes. She says, those roses are very precious to me, you know. Did you know the road gate is closed as far as I can see? So she catches the young child coming into their garden and picking one of their roses, and they prick their finger on it. And offers the child a soda. And next thing you know, the child is missing. They check in with Doña Mercedes and find that she has a brand new rose blossom that opens up that she cares for like her own children. So this is a cool, basically a horror story in a sort of, I love these sort of, Latin American ghost stories. They have a cool feel to them. I like them more than a lot of the ghost stories in North America are always like Guy's driving on the road and a creepy thing happens. Or yeah, it's usually that. It's like some people are out necking in the woods, out smooching, and then the guy with the hook comes and chases them to the car, and and that's good. But theirs are more about this sort of supernatural, like life force and life essence, and I don't know, it speaks to me. It speaks to me in some way that I really, really quite enjoy. As promised, we have a special bonus. So included unexpectedly in the package I got from Broken Pencil from the Spring Canzine was this really great anthology called The Pond. So Broken Pencil partners quite a bit. They sort of have, I don't know if it's a sponsorship or a partnership. I'm not totally aware, but with this post-secondary institution called Seneca Polytechnic. They are sort of a arts and animation school. And so this here called The Pond number 6, these are comics. These are short comics done by the students in their illustration course. And some of them have won, apparently there's a few in here who have designations that they were scholarship winners for the Society of Illustrators, which I've never heard of, but it exists. And so these are a group of students all in this great anthology. And I love when art colleges and art universities do this. It gives a chance for people to be to get their work out there in this anthology setting, see how it works, work towards something like that. It's very cool. So we're going to take just a gander at each of these here, just to look at the style of each of these. And what I'll do is they have the sort of where to follow these people up in the top corner, but I'm going to put it all on screen after we take a look at everything because it's a big list. So I'll flash that up completely just on screen. So let's take a closer look at this, just to look at everyone's style. This was called The Aliens on Earth by Brennan William. The cover, this one here, we should take a look at this cover as well. Really beautiful cover. And that one's by Rory Luckett. So let's just take a look at some of the styles that are in here. And what I love about these programs is you get such a variance in styles from more, you'll find some that are more like an animation influence or more anime or manga. Ones that are more, more, for lack of a better term, more Western based. So maybe I should mention each person as I'm going through here, pardon me. So we looked first at the cover by Rory Luckett, then The Aliens on Earth. This is by Brennan William. Really nice work. This one here from Christina Simoes. Might say that wrong, I'm sorry. Beautiful work. Really nice emotion in the eyes. This piece here called A Stone's Throw, which is by Holly Kloostra. Beautiful. The raven is very, very nice looking. Very nice. This next one is called Molly's Food Diary by Jade Parkokethom. Probably saying it wrong. My apologies. This one definitely has more of an animation style. You get the flashes in the eyes, that sort of cool classic manga style. Nice work. This next one's called Your Sister is Weird by Jennifer Ostiano. And like I said, I'll put everybody's information up on screen after we've taken a quick look at each of these. I'd love to see where these folks go and what they end up doing. This one's called Dissonance. Great illustration here by Jordan Hector-Clarke. Oh, and the eyes. Look at this. Look at this. Beautiful. Really great style. This one's called Tea Party. It's by Megan Nogueira. I love the whimsical style in this. And the color palette. You look at the way that they've, wow, already showing really, really strong, not only character design, but coloring work. The way that it sort of, you juxtapose the blue versus the orange really makes them stand out apart from each other, and really creates a really dynamic, look at the way the eyes, it's really well done. Wolf in Sheep's Clothing. This one's by Vivi Partridge. I love this one. I love the style of this one. It's got something I really love is when you get this really like almost fine line style, and then these little hits of color. The hand painted look of it. Really great. Taking a new look at sort of the idea of the Little Red Riding Hood. This one here is called Journey to a Diagnosis by Kelly Anderson. Looks like it's quite a personal story, perhaps, of their journey. Yeah, it takes a lot to be vulnerable in that way. This was called Night by Olesya Kiprianova. This is the only one that doesn't have any way to follow them on it, unfortunately. I love the style. So Rory Luckett here, Savage Planet. You'll recognize this character from the front cover, and once again, the character design and the style of it, really quite. I don't know. Sometimes stuff really stands out to me. Crime and Parmesan by Sarah Mundinger. Yeah, the coloring work I'm seeing in this is really great. So showing, the whole mood changes when you go to this, you've got your red period, and then you've got your blue period. You've got your sort of Van Gogh thing going on here, where you look at how the whole mood changes once they are handed this plate of food. Oh yeah, look at the coloring on this one. This one would be perfect for printing with risograph, because it's done in these two colors. Once again, Kitty, and this one's by Jenna Nudstra. Awesome. Look at the style they're able to put into this little raccoon. It's adorable as well. Adorable character work between the grandma and the very cute little rascal. She basically replaces the lost cat with a raccoon she finds in the park. It's called River Bane by Janena Spada. Great style in this one. See if I can get that to show really nicely. Nice establishing shots. Good cinematic feel. Yeah, I love seeing work that's from these groups of students, because you see the stuff that people are making in their post-secondary education. And I look at and I think about the stuff I was making in art school, and I'm like, wow, these kids are talented. This is called The Cat Detective by Nicole Gantos. I believe it's Gantos. Nicole Gantos. Nice style on the cat. Getting all of your great dynamic poses. Oh, and I love this at the end. The cat puts on his detective hat. It's a Detective Pikachu moment. And Mystery Photo is the final one by Sarah Lau. Oh wait, there is one on the back cover. Never mind. This is the second last. Mystery Photo by Sarah Lau. Oh, this sort of monster it has here. Oh wow. Really good. Love this one. And the final one is The Adventures of Chatman and Bobbin by Shashank Mani. I kind of get a bit of a Batman bootleg. Except it's the legally distinct characters of Chatman and Bobbin. My mistake. Nice style on this. I love it. I love it when I see the kind of strokes app in here where it feels like ballpoint pen drawings in the back of your notebook. Yeah, so that's the pond. I was really happy that they sent me a little bonus. It's a great piece, and very happy to have it. Let me put the information for all of those really, really talented students. So if you'd like to follow any of the creators in the pond number 6, amazingly talented students. I don't know if they are already done their schooling or if they're still in it. But look over here if you want to follow any of those great ones we saw in here. Lots of variance in style and execution, storytelling, but all very, very strong. Pretty amazing stuff. I've never, I've heard of Seneca Polytechnic, but I don't know much about them. But boy, they're putting out obviously some pretty talented people. So that's everything I have for you today. Let's take a quick recap of what we looked at today before I send you on your way. First, we talked about this really, really quite amazing piece that I traded for with Jon Claytor. This is a teaser for his upcoming graphic novel called Nowhere that reads like a really amazing movie trailer. We looked at another trade I did with a creator by the name of Anne Pasek. One of them hopefully is correct. Everyday Oil. Really love this one. Very nice of them to send me this in the mail. And then we talked about Broken Pencil and the Spring Canzine, of which I was an exhibitor this year, and I picked up these great pieces. The Adventures of Galaxy Girl by Scarlett Knife. Afraid of the Dark by Tenzin. Slow Work as Practice, which you'd find, I believe that was by Kel at Subsabatic. The Broken Pencil Zine of the Year 2023. Download this zine by Lucky Acid, Ryam, Niaimi, and Sammy Orlowski. This very powerful piece called Where I Am, Where I Am Not by Rabia Syed. Off the Clock, which was a set of beautifully illustrated interviews about life and labor. And that's by Kento, Batcities. And also, once again, this amazing business card for Batcities. Love it. Sophie did this beautiful short story called Flowers. Charlotte Fleming and The Bug Collector zine with the beautiful little included magnifying glass, which is too cute for words. Lucas John, another nominee for a zine award in 2023 from Broken Pencil. Lucas John is by FAUXBEAR, Michael FAUXBEAR. Nice fellow, by the way. He actually reached out to me at some point because he had picked up one of my zines and was very kind, very nice to talk to. Then we have Alley Cats, or Entangled Roots Press, as they also go by. Operation Nemesis, which was a winner of the Zine Award for Best Political Zine in 2023. Now, Lucas John, I can't remember if it won or not. My fault. But Operation Nemesis won as Best Political Zine about the Armenian genocide. And then there's awesome bonus. So yeah, heck of a night. Really nice set of them. We went on a little bit longer than usual here, but as usual, this will go up onto YouTube very soon. If you're watching this on Twitch right now, you can watch this entire thing on YouTube. I edit it down just a little bit to streamline it. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, I do this show live on Twitch. Happens on Wednesday nights. Not every Wednesday night, but many of them. You can follow me at I am White Gray Black YYC on Twitch. And you can always go to Twitch. You can see in my schedule, which you'd find somewhere below where the video goes, what my schedule is. And if there's a Comix Zone coming up, it's usually on Wednesday nights. So yes, thank you so much. Spring Canzine and these amazing pieces I got from Jon and Anne. What a great night. I'll see you in the next Comix Zone. We'll have more stuff to show. I've got some catch-up ones to do of previous shows from 2023. So we're going to reach back into the past and do a series of ones about both Starry Dynamo, which is a really dynamite show that happens here in Calgary, as well as the AGA show from 2023. I forgot to talk about the 2023 show. We did the 2024 show a few weeks back, a couple months back, and now we're going to go back and do that one as well. So I'll see you on the next one.